Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I want to start by giving some context to my family and our relationships, because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's also about the toxic dynamics that have festered in my family for years. I, 35 female, have been married to my husband, Ryan, 38 male, for 7 years. We met through mutual friends, and for the longest time, I thought he was my soulmate. Our marriage has had its challenges, especially over the past 2 years as we've struggled with infertility. Trying to have a child has been one of the most emotionally draining experiences of my life. I felt like a failure, despite Ryan reassuring me that it wasn't my fault. But looking back now, I realize his reassurances were just words, empty promises meant to placate me while he pursued something else entirely. Now let's talk about my sister, Emily, 29 female. Growing up, Emily and I had a tumultuous relationship. She was the baby of the family, the charismatic, bubbly one who always knew how to charm her way out of trouble. I was the responsible, quiet sibling who followed the rules, helped with chores, and picked up the slack whenever Emily decided to shirk her responsibilities. Despite our differences, I always tried to support Emily. When she got married to her husband, Jack, 32 male, 3 years ago, I threw her a lavish bridal shower and helped her plan her wedding. I wanted her to be happy. Jack seemed like a good guy, and I genuinely thought they were a great match. Little did I know what was going on behind the scenes. About 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, my mom invited me over for coffee. She seemed nervous, fidgeting with her mug and avoiding eye contact. Finally, after an agonizing silence, she said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but I think Ryan is having an affair with Emily." It felt like the ground had fallen out from under me. I asked her how she could possibly know something like that, and she explained that she had overheard them talking during a family gathering. She couldn't make out all the details, but it was clear from their hushed tones and the way they were acting that their relationship wasn't innocent. My mom said she hadn't confronted them because she didn't want to cause a scene, but thought I deserved to know. I was stunned. I asked my mom to repeat herself, thinking I must have misunderstood. But she confirmed it. She said she was 100% sure my husband and my sister had been having an affair. At first, I didn't believe her. Ryan and I might have had our struggles, but he loved me, didn't he? And Emily, sure, she could be selfish and attention-seeking, but betraying me like this? It felt unthinkable. But then, the pieces started to fall into place. Ryan had been distant lately, claiming he was working late more often than usual. He was overly protective of his phone and would get defensive if I asked him a simple question about his day. After the initial wave of anger, I decided not to confront Ryan or Emily immediately. I needed proof. If I was going to destroy my marriage, I wanted to do it with all my ducks in a row. I needed evidence for divorce. I wanted to be well prepared. I was so angry, I wanted to take him to the cleaners. I started paying closer attention to Ryan's behavior, checking his phone when I could, noting his comings and goings, and piecing together the inconsistencies in his excuses. Sure enough, there were late-night texts to a number saved under work, sudden emergencies that took him out of the house at odd hours, and vague answers whenever I pressed him for details. I knew I would eventually confront Ryan, but I wanted to wait until the right moment. That moment came sooner than I expected. Our family has a tradition of Thanksgiving where everyone takes turns saying what they're thankful for. It's usually a nice moment, but this year, it turned into a nightmare. My parents hosted the dinner, as they always do, and the whole family was there. Ryan, Emily, Jack, aunts and uncles, our cousins, and even some extended relatives. I was determined to keep my calm. When it came time for the thankful tradition, people went around the table sharing their gratitude. When it was Emily's turn, she stood up, placed a hand on her stomach, and smiled. "I'm thankful for the new life growing inside me," she announced. The room erupted in congratulations. My parents were ecstatic, clapping and tearing up. Jack looked confused but thrilled, clearly thinking the baby was his. But Ryan froze. For a split second, his eyes darted to Emily, and I caught it. That fleeting glance was all the confirmation I needed. When it was my turn, I couldn't hold back. My anger boiled over. I stood up, raised my glass, and said, "Well, I'm thankful for my husband getting my sister pregnant." The room went silent. What happened next was pure chaos. My dad shouted, "What the hell are you talking about?" My mom's face turned ghostly white. Jack looked from Emily to me, his face contorted in confusion and horror. Emily burst into tears, and Ryan stammered something about how I had misunderstood. "You don't get to gaslight me, Ryan," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "I know everything." Ryan didn't say a word. Emily, through her sobs, tried to deny it, but her reaction only made things worse. Jack demanded answers, yelling at Emily to tell the truth. She couldn't even look at him. Jack stormed out, and Emily chased after him, sobbing and begging him to just listen. Ryan tried to pull me aside, but I wasn't having it. "We're done," I told him. "You and Emily can deal with the mess you've created, but I'm out." Then I grabbed my things and left. I just couldn't bear the tension anymore. I came back home, had more wine, and went to sleep. I woke up to tons of missed calls from my parents. When I called them back, I expected to hear how sorry they are, etc. But I heard something that hurt more than my husband's and sister's affair. Instead of supporting me, they turned on me. "How could you say something like that in front of everyone?" my dad yelled. "You've humiliated your sister." My mom chimed in. "You don't even know for sure if the baby is Ryan's. What if it's Jack's? You've ruined Thanksgiving over an assumption." "An assumption?" I shot back. "Then let Emily or Ryan deny it. Let them take a paternity test. I'm willing to bet the results won't surprise me." They kept accusing me of being vindictive and cruel for airing dirty laundry in front of the family. My dad said I owed Emily an apology for embarrassing her. Jack hasn't spoken to Emily since that night, and from what I've heard, he's staying with a friend while he figures out his next steps. I've already contacted a lawyer, and I'm preparing to file for divorce. Ryan is begging me to talk this out, but I'm done. My parents, meanwhile, are furious with me. They've made it clear that they blame me for ruining Thanksgiving and humiliating Emily. My mom even said, "Emily's the one carrying a baby. How do you think all this stress is affecting her?" As for me, I'm heartbroken. I didn't create this mess. Ryan and Emily did. But somehow, I'm the one being treated like the villain for exposing the truth. So, Reddit. Was I wrong for revealing the truth during Thanksgiving dinner? Should I have waited for a private moment? Are you kidding me? OP's sister had an affair with OP's husband, and OP's parents expect OP to apologize? That's next-level insanity. OP didn't ruin Thanksgiving. They did, by betraying OP in the most disgusting way possible. Frankly, I'm impressed OP kept her cool for as long as she did. If anything, OP handled this with more grace than they deserved. OP needs to let them stew in their mess. She definitely doesn't owe anyone an apology. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Your parents are clearly enabling Emily's behavior, which is probably why she felt entitled to betray you in the first place. I can't believe they're blaming you for exposing the truth, instead of holding her and your husband accountable. You did nothing wrong. In fact, you should consider going low or no contact with your family for your own sanity. They've shown you where their loyalties lie, and it's not with you. Everyone sucks here. Hear me out. Emily and Ryan are obviously the biggest a-holes here. What they did is unforgivable. But I think you could have handled the Thanksgiving situation differently. Dropping a bomb like that in front of everyone might have felt satisfying in the moment, but it gave your parents and Emily ammunition to paint you as the bad guy. If you had confronted them privately, it might have been easier to keep control of the narrative. That said, I completely understand why you reacted the way you did. Betrayal like that can make anyone lose their cool. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Your husband and sister betrayed you. Your parents are gaslighting you. And now you're being treated like the villain for simply stating the truth. The audacity of your parents to suggest you apologize is infuriating. You've been through enough. Don't let them manipulate you into thinking you're at fault. Focus on yourself, finalize the divorce, and consider cutting off toxic people. You deserve better than this. Update. Hi Reddit. Here's a quick update since so many of you have asked what happened after the Thanksgiving debacle. I officially divorced Ryan. It wasn't easy emotionally, but it was the best decision for my sanity and future. I've moved into a new place and am working on rebuilding my life. Ryan tried to reconcile a few times, but I refused to entertain the idea. There's no coming back from what he did. As for Emily, she gave birth to a baby girl a few weeks ago. Jack, her husband, had a paternity test done, and it turns out he is the biological father. Despite that, Jack is moving forward with the divorce. He told her he couldn't trust her anymore, and he doesn't want to stay in a marriage where there's no respect. He plans to co-parent their daughter, but made it clear that their romantic relationship is over. Now, my parents are blaming me for everything. They've said I destroyed Emily's marriage, and that it's my fault her child will grow up in a broken home. According to them, if I had handled things privately, none of this would have happened. It's frustrating and hurtful, but I've come to terms with the fact that they'll always prioritize Emily, no matter how wrong she is. For now, I've limited contact with my parents and Emily. I'm focusing on healing, therapy, and surrounding myself with people who actually care about me. Thank you all for your support. It's been a lifeline during this incredibly difficult time. I found out my husband cheated on me and has a 3-year-old daughter recently. The woman only told me because my husband was ignoring her, and she thought telling me would force him to acknowledge and support their daughter. My in-laws asked me if I would be okay with them financially supporting the girl if she is my husband's, and I told them I didn't know. They said they wouldn't help her unless I was comfortable with it, and that I should take my time to think about it. I've since told everybody I want no part in any of this, and I would like to focus on my children instead while my husband deals with his own mess, so they haven't brought it up to me since. The woman contacted me again to tell me my in-laws won't help her because of me, and that she was desperate. I didn't respond, but she kept sending me messages telling me how I was selfish and that I was punishing her daughter, who was innocent, by not letting my in-laws help them. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, because you're not the reason. This shouldn't be your decision to make. It's their money and their son, and they can do whatever they want with it. Make it clear that it's not for you to affirm or deny their financial support, and keep staying out of it. It's crappy of them to put the onus on you in the first place. This is not for you to deal with on top of being married to a cheater. You don't need to carry this burden too. I'm sorry. Why is she contacting you instead of the appropriate government agency to start getting proper child support payments going? This isn't your issue to solve, not the a-hole. I imagine rich in-laws. She probably thinks she can get more out of guilt-tripping them instead of getting legal child support from hubby through the system. OP clarified in comments she's currently staying with the in-laws and that they have always been close. Not the a-hole. It isn't the grandparents' responsibility to support the child. It is the parents'. The mother should not be depending on or even expecting financial support from anyone but the father. Not the a-hole. Where the bloody hell is your husband? What's he doing to take responsibility for both the child, who is innocent in this, and with you and what it means for your relationship? Why are his parents even involved? You should not be cornered into taking any part of his responsibility by his lack of action, by the other woman who cheated with your husband, who are trying to help, but would do better to step back. I don't know what he's doing. I don't want to see or talk to him, and he won't come near me as long as his dad is here. His dad is also my godfather, and I'm very close to them, so I told them. That's why they're involved. To give some background information, my stepfather came into my life when I was around 6. I'm 24 now. He wasn't a bad person per se. I know he always treated my mother well, but he never made an effort to support me growing up, and as a result, we've never been much of a part of each other's lives. I moved out of their house 6 years ago to move away for college, and I have since bought my own house and have lived here for 2 years. Well, earlier this year, he was diagnosed with cancer, and within the last couple months has started going for treatment for it. Just a couple of days ago, while visiting them for the holidays, my mother pulled me aside to ask for monetary help north of $10,000 to help pay for his medical fees. I have a well-paying salaried job, but I also have around $100,000 in student loan debt still to pay off, as well as my mortgage on my house. I've been living very frugally the past couple of years to try and throw as much money as possible at the debt, giving up a lot of freedoms for myself as a result. My mother knows this. I don't feel comfortable paying for his medical bills when, 1, it's not really my responsibility. 2, he never made an effort to be a positive figure in my life. And 3, I still have a massive amount of debt that I'm trying to get out of for the benefit of myself. I haven't yet told her that I don't plan on helping money-wise, but I think she already thinks I have agreed to help somehow. I'm not sure how to tell her my position without her and the rest of the family thinking I'm an a-hole for refusing to help a family member with cancer. So I'm just trying to get a general opinion on if I'm the a-hole, and if not, how I should help my family in ways other than giving money. Not the a-hole. Just be very upfront with her. Tell her you have your own debt that you are paying off and you just don't have the extra money to give her $10,000. I'd leave out the part about you not being very close with him. It might leave your mom with the impression that you could easily choose to help her. You just don't want to because you don't like your stepdad. Not the a-hole. Some might disagree, but listen, cancer is a drag. It really sucks. You're not the a-hole by any means for not helping out with the finances, as it isn't your burden to bear. But I don't think your mother is an a-hole either. She's clearly terrified that she is going to lose a loved one and is desperate. I've been living very frugally the last couple years to try and throw as much money as possible at the debt, giving up a lot of freedoms for myself as a result. My mother knows this. Yes, she does, but she's talking about a human life. To her, that life is worth everything. She loves this person. Please don't forget that, and let her down easy if you really don't want to pay it. But for most people, being out of debt a few years earlier isn't worth the same as a human life. I accept it's your money, but money can be earned and re-earned and spent. Lives cannot be saved once they're lost. This is why I see your mother's side completely and truly empathize. I will admit your post comes across a little bit cold, but I don't know whether he treated you badly in the past or not. Your relationship with him is yours to understand and feel how you like about it. I wouldn't personally call not making an effort treating you badly, or a thing that warrants not helping eradicate his cancer. I also fully respect that it's your money. You've saved it and you want to go on in life. The only true a-hole here is the American healthcare system. I have 4 children, 2 bio children who are 17 and 15, and 2 stepchildren who are 12 and 11. I was a widower when I met my current wife 7 years ago. My first wife had passed 3 years before meeting my current wife, and she was a single mom whose ex was not in the kids' lives at all. So they came to see me as dad, and I loved them. But I admit my love for them did come at the expense of my kids somewhat, something that only truly stuck with me recently, when my bio children told me they were done with any and all family time, that we were not a family, that they wanted to go live with their grandparents in another state. I was shocked. I had thought I had done a good job of being there for them and providing them with a family. We talked. They explained how to them, my wife and stepchildren were not people they loved and considered family, and that by never getting time with just me, they felt like they had lost their whole family, that they did not consider it family time when we were all together. My daughter told me she was pretty much ready to leave and had even tried to graduate early, but due to her learning disability, she was unsuccessful. It was a huge wake-up call for me. I had sat and discussed what was going on with my wife, and I told her I wanted to take my son and daughter away for the weekend, just the 3 of us. It wasn't until I got back that my wife told me my stepchildren had told her they were very upset, and she decided it was unfair that I left them behind and made them feel like they were less my kids. They never said anything to me before when I spoke to them, but when I got back, they told me that they felt it was unfair and that I should be their real dad too. I explained we could do something just the 3 of us, but that my son and daughter needed some time with just me. I'm making much more of an effort to make my bio kids feel like they have not lost me and that they can be honest and open with me. My wife wanted to do something with my bios while I spent time with my stepkids since we got back. My bio kids weren't interested, which turned into my wife being very upset and telling me again that I did the wrong thing taking my bios for the weekend, but not my stepchildren. She said I showed my kids that she and my stepkids, are not family. I told her I could not change their feelings after the damage I did. If they feel like they haven't lost me, they could have a better relationship with them as well. But I told her firmly I did what I needed to do for my relationship with my older 2 children. She said it should never come at the expense of the younger kids. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but your wife certainly is. It seems to me that while you were gone over the weekend with your kids, that she stirred the pot with her kids, and that is why they're now saying what they're saying. You absolutely did the right thing, OP. Because if not, once they were able to leave, they would, and go no contact with you. Let her know that the way her kids feel about one weekend is what your children have been feeling for the last 7 years. You did good stepping up for your stepkids, but it was at the cost of your relationship with your kids, and you're fixing that now. Also, she can't force time with your kids because currently they feel spiteful towards her, because in their minds, she stole your time from them in favor of a new family with her, and they're not wrong. Stay firm with your wife, and I advise therapy, counseling for everyone involved, either group and solo. Keep listening to your kids' feelings and make sure they feel heard. Not the a-hole. It goes the other way too. Your relationship with your younger kids and wife should not come at the expense of your older children. I feel like there is a larger problem going on here that you still may not be seeing. I think your wife may be prioritizing the younger children over the older children, and may have been doing it for some time, getting you to do the same. Your bio children did not start feeling this way overnight. It sounds like it has been festering for a long time. The fact that your wife doesn't approve of your attempt to repair the damaged relationship with the older two is concerning. You need to have some hard conversations with them to find out how they are feeling about the three people that have taken priority over them for years. What is actually going on between them and your wife? Something is if they have no interest in time alone with her. I'm a 19-year-old girl, and my dad is marrying his girlfriend of 5 years. She wants me to be one of the bridesmaids, as it'd look great to have me up there. I'm not particularly close to her, but we're civil, so whatever, right? I agreed, telling her I'd be happy to do so, and to let me know if she needed any help with wedding things. I got a call from her last week, telling me that she wants me to go to her hairdresser's with her so my hair can be made a more natural color, like my natural brown, or even a deeper chestnut, as she thought that'd look nice on me. I was confused by this, and asked her what she was talking about. She told me I'd stand out too much in the bridal party with my hair. I have waist-length hair that is ombre of purple and pink. My hair has been this color for the past 3 years, so it's not like I sprung it on her out of nowhere, just before the wedding. I told her I wasn't about to ruin the style I spent a lot of money and time to upkeep, just for her wedding, and she implied that at 19, I was getting too old for such a childish style, and it was really for my own good, and reminded me how I'd told her if she needed anything for the wedding, to let me know. She then told me this is what she needed. I was shocked by this, and pointed out I'd meant something like picking up party favors for the reception, dress fittings and the like, not changing my hair. I told her I wouldn't be doing this, sorry, and if she felt this way that I just wouldn't be her bridesmaid so I didn't stand out too much. She was upset with me, and the call ended rather coldly. I've had my dad phoning me every so often since then trying to talk me into changing my hair. He's implying it's not a big deal, and he'll pay to fix my hair after the wedding. That's not the point. It'd be hell to get my hair back to this, and bad to recolor it so soon anyway, and I don't see why I have to change my style for her. I can just be a guest. Though, honestly, I'm not even wanting to be that now. He told me I had to be her bridesmaid, as she told everyone I would be, and how I'd embarrass her in front of her friends and family if I refused now, as they'd think we're not close. I pointed out to him that we're not, and it's on her if she made it seem like we were to people she knows. I told him that if I had to be a bridesmaid, she could accept my hair as it is, or I'd just stay home. I don't know. Maybe it's my experience with weddings, as I've never been to one before, but surely this is too much for them to ask of me. Maybe I should just cave in, as my dad has said he'll pay to fix my hair after, but the idea of going through all the work to fix it and the damage it could cause is upsetting me. Should I just suck it up for my dad's sake? My mom is pissed over this and has been fighting with my dad on this matter. No, you're not the a-hole. They can invite you, the real you, or not. You can accept their invitation, or not. What they don't get to do is invite an imaginary alternative version of you that they'd rather have instead, and then insist that you fake it. Not the a-hole. The people getting married can ask someone to wear their hair up or down, or wear certain colors, but asking hair to be cut or dyed is way too much. Also, as a woman in her 40s with purple hair, it's not childish to have hair colored whatever shade of the rainbow you like. I've refused jobs that want me to dye my hair. I'd happily refuse to participate in a wedding if doing so required me to dye my hair. Not the a-hole. It is too much to ask from a person. She and your dad knew going into this what your hair looked like. If either of them had this problem, they should have asked you if you'd consider changing your hair before they made you a part of the bridal party. People these days expect crazy stuff from their wedding guests, and I just don't get it. I worked as a server in university, and my daughter worked at Starbucks and a local restaurant when she was in school. I know how servers earn their money. My father-in-law invited us out for supper for my mother-in-law's birthday. We went to a nice Greek restaurant in his neighborhood. The meal was fantastic, and my father-in-law said it was on him. Cool, my kids are well behaved and know not to go crazy on their grandparents' money. I've known my in-laws for almost 20 years now. I know he doesn't tip, so I always bring cash and tip whenever we dine out with them. So after the meal, as we were leaving, I checked the bill and dropped 20% on top of his cash, more or less. I guess he accidentally left too much money once and made a big deal about getting his change because the server came running out with the tip I left. My father-in-law knew how he paid, and it didn't include a $50 bill. He blew his top. Saying I disrespected him by doing this, I was implying that he was cheap after he took out my family to a nice restaurant. I was just trying to do right by the server. I wasn't trying to be a hero or a jerk. I just know that we took up a table for almost 2 hours and she deserved a tip. My wife is mad at me for upsetting her father. My daughter gave me a hug and said I was right. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I'm in Canada. Apparently this is a normal thing in the States. I'm pretty sure there was a Friends episode where this happened. Not the a-hole. Your father-in-law is an a-hole. Not the a-hole. In the future, it may be better to say something like, since you covered dinner, I thought I would cover the tip. Even if he's resistant to tipping. A-hole. At least the point of the gesture was in the ether. Not the a-hole. I think it's a boomer thing. My dad rarely tips. If he does, it's like $5. I guess when he was born in 1948, $5 would have been generous. He's been told how embarrassing it is that he tips so little, but doesn't change. We always pay the tip when he takes us out. He gets miffed, but whatever. If your father-in-law's embarrassed, that means he knows he's wrong and is doing it anyway.